What is up, agency people? We are here today to talk about AI. I am joined by our SEO manager, Jay McLeod, and our SEO analyst, Michael Bateman, and we are here to talk about AI. All right, the first topic that we want to dive into is AI and agency life. So, pretty broad topic, but it's impacting everything, or it has the ability to impact everything that we're doing. So I want to just kick off with what have been the biggest shakeups you've seen utilizing AI, something like ChatGPT, something like Jarvis in your day-to-day agency life?
Yes, I mean, AI is, there's so many different directions that you can go with it. It's such a tool with vast potential. Really, though, I think we're seeing a lot of it being used as like the supplement that it should be. Like, it's really supplementing the way that people do work. So a lot of aspects of agency life that might have been considered like grunt work or work that you might spend a lot of hours doing, you're now doing it in minutes, such as like, you could ask something like ChatGPT to make a whole social calendar for you, or you can have it write a bunch of articles for you. And I think it's almost kind of acting like this really, really capable intern in some ways. And it's also kind of resulted in like a de-emphasis of certain aspects of agency life, I think. So if you have it able to write a bunch of basic content or basic social and stuff like that, you may not feel like you need a huge content team. Like some agencies might have multiple copywriters, might feel like, all right, maybe we need one really good one and some really good AI tools now.
Yeah, on the department management standpoint, I would look at the team as a whole and say there are several people that need to have a copywriter right there with them as they were doing the work. And that's not as a major need anymore because of AI. It took some of the pieces that made staffing an issue and removed that part of the equation.
Let's get into like specifics. So what kind of specific use cases have you seen? So you mentioned grunt work, like it's like a great intern for us to utilize where it provides that nice baseline. What are some specific instances that you've seen?
So we have our analysts that know what to do very well, but putting that into the written word to make sure it's authoritative content that's going through and content that will absolutely reach a need, that's a little bit of adjustment. Some people cannot write. They do not know, the best way to phrase a sentence, and putting that on a page that needs to be authoritative, needs to be relatable to the entire audience is troublesome. And that right there has been able to change those in the department that have not been able to write as fluently or as good as if I had a copywriter write with them. It's not there. It's not a barrier.
Excellent. So the copywriter for the data analyst.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like a great equalizer in terms of skill that, a lot of times content writing has always been, like what Jay said, it's been difficult for some analysts to do. But yeah, now you can just have it, like if you have the idea in your head, you don't have to actually write it out. You can give the idea to the AI and it can turn it into that type of content that you're looking for.
I think that's only going to continue to evolve. I know on my end, I've seen its ability to now analyze data as just a good baseline in terms of like monthly reporting. So if we're right in there, and maybe that's a good baseline to then work off of. And, it doesn't have the human element, so it's a little bit hit or miss, but it does give that good guideline to follow to then add the human element too. So that's why I like that grunt work. It does lay out, so it's less time in administrative work, more time in strategic work, which I think has been helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
I also think some of the more fun and use case I've seen for is sometimes there's an email where you might be a little bit emotional behind the email and the AI doesn't have emotion. So you can take the email, write what you want to say and say, please word this professionally.
Nice? With AI,
this nice.
Awesome. With AI, your client relations can get a lot better.
Exactly.
No risks of emotional client emails anymore.
All right. So we teed up the ability for AI to help in copywriting and content writing. But that doesn't seem to be the be-all, end-all solution to copywriting now. So I want to dive into specifics of how to use AI as a tool and not just send out AI-produced content. Unless you guys feel like that's the move. I feel like we're not quite there yet. But how do you take that as a baseline and then add that expertise, add that human element to the content provided to produce a great result?
Yeah, so I just go off kind of what you said. Yeah, there's not really an AI button to press and it just solves all your content problems for you. as beautiful as that would be, it's not there yet. AI right now, probably the biggest kind of limitations that it has, and even like companies like ChatGPT's OpenAI like disclose it on ChatGPT. It's like they can't guarantee factual accuracy. They just simply cannot, and they can't guarantee that some of it isn't plagiarized, possibly. And they're trained on data that already exists. So these AI models, they can't really create novel ideas or like innovative ideas. They have to be given that sort of concept by somebody else to then expand upon and write upon. And that's because, they're trained on a set of information that's given to them. And then the generative process, it actually generates what it thinks you want to see. But it's based on a lot of things like, oh, this is probably what the person wants based on their prompt. And it may not have the ability to say like, yes, this is 100% the accurate answer. Like I remember there was a story recently where a law firm used ChatGPT to write case briefs, and ChatGPT did what's called with AI hallucinating. And what it did was it created these fake case precedents, then put in the case brief copy. The law firm didn't check it, handed it into the court, and the judge was like, what are all of these cases? These don't exist. And the law firm had some issues because of it, because they didn't double check that ChatGPT made up case precedents.
So you can't ChatGPT the bar or your medical exams.
Not quite, no.
That's a good identifier of the limitations. How do you then take, though, the content that does have that limitations and then use that as a baseline to produce something that would be as good, hopefully, if not better, than something that you would have just started from scratch?
You need to know, first off, what you're trying to present. So it's facts in and then, data out. So number one, you need to know, am I writing the right thing for the right client, what have you? Each one of the search engines have their own spam policies, and the content that's being output needs to reach, the broad users, to have all of the correct intent and to make sure it's not spammy or, it just sounds like it's not natural. So you have to go in there, and adding one sentence to any type of AI to script it is going to give you bad results. So you have to sit there and put the data in to really define those patterns for AI to push out good content. It starts from what you give it.
I think that makes total sense. It's about working the tool. It's a tool like anything else. It is, I think, something I've heard you guys say, it is a supplement, not a substitute. So it's how you use the tool. And that makes all the sense in the world. So the best content writers are going to be the best people at aggregating the data for the input and then finessing the output to have that tone that they're there to have, because I've seen GPT get better and better with replicating tone. I think the human element, though, is just still so important.
You can put 3 people into a room with various life differences and different amounts of training in search engine optimization, copywriting, what have you, and you can ask AI for the same question and expect different results based on the input that comes in. And it's a skill. Like you said, input in, input out. The way that things need to be working is you have to make sure that you're giving the AI the right information. And if you don't give them the right information, that skill has to grow on your side. This is not a press a button, no AI button yet. I do not think there will ever be, and maybe an AI button would be date.
No doubt. I think one thing I know that our CEO, Tim, always says is begin with the end in mind. Yeah. So I think you can't just go to these tools and say, article, please. Like, you have to give it the input to get the desired output and then put that final touch on that to have an article you're happy to put your name on.
And this is also a benefit. So one of the things that I had from a department and from a department management standpoint is I have someone working on company A month in, month out. They're embedded. They're invested in that work that needs to be going, into that client. Who would be better to get those needs from the client? The individual that's working on this or the individual that's copywriting 15 different articles in a month. I think the input is just as good from someone who doesn't know how to write but knows the client, knows the industry, than someone who's like, okay, let me do a car, let me do a mortgage, let me do insurers, and push that out.
I think that speaks to how we've built our business here at Conduit. Is we have a team of analysts on this side of the office that are great at strategy, great at data analyzation, maybe not the best account communicators. That's why we have an account management division over there as well. So if ChatGPT, Jasper, any of these tools can act as the communicator for the analyst, so you don't have to outsource to less experienced or expert people on that specific account. You can just have the writer, like your writing assistant right there. I think that's a great observation.
Yeah, and that definitely comes back to the importance, kind of what we were talking about just a little bit ago, is the quality of your input matters almost more than anything else. 9 times out of 10, I've found with experimenting with AI tools, if you're not getting the result that you want and consistently not getting the result that you want, really the first place you should look to find a solution to the problem is your input. You should go back and look at the prompt that you gave it. It's like, is it possibly too complicated? Is it too simple? Am I missing a key piece of information? Maybe I need to take a paragraph from the client's about page on their website and drop it in with the prompt and say, for reference, this is what I'm talking about. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about it, but really the prompt is super, super important. If it's incomplete, you're going to expect an incomplete response.
Yeah, and that comes with experience and trial and error too. I got different outputs when I asked the tool to summarize, to analyze, and to recommend off of this. And these may be synonyms in terms of what we're looking at. It resulted in different outputs. So I think there's more experience that you can get with the tool to get your desired output.
And it's not just to throw another reference out there. It's not just with specific to content. Midjourney, which is the visual equivalent of AI copywriting. If you put in a 3-sentence input of a design that you want, and then you put a paragraph descriptive of what you want the image to be, the results are night and day. A small image as opposed to something that looks like it is an exact photo reference from a big budget movie that, cost millions of dollars to.
All right, so we've been talking about content. I want to dive in a little bit to talk about SEO as a whole and how AI is going to impact all things SEO. I think a great place to start with that would be AI-assisted search engines and how we see that evolution or the current landscape working right now with that, and what do we need to know about that?
Yeah, so AI-assisted search engines, probably the 2 biggest ones that we could talk about right now would be Bing AI, which was kind of like the first one to really roll out a finished product, and then Google's new SGE, which is coming out as well. I think it's being rolled out in certain markets or for certain users already, in some at least in an early stage. But they essentially do the same thing, where you enter into the AI and the AI search feature a question or a request for something. And what it does is it scours all of the available relevant sources online, and it curates for you a response in a conversational style, but it will also link to the sources that it uses to create your response. So like if you want to learn more, you can click on this link and it has more information. So for example, if you wanted what are 5 great parks on the East Coast of the United States to visit, it'll curate for you the list of parks that it finds that it thinks are the best based on the content that it reads from scouring the internet. And then it'll also give you links to find more information on that. Or if you need some kind of information and you want it to be really reliable, like maybe you're looking for, you have a question about something medical, though I don't recommend Googling anything medical. But if you're like, I need a really authoritative answer, it'll curate for you, stuff from like a reputable site, like maybe like Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, National Institute of Health. And that way you can get a very quick, concise answer with very good quality links that have already been sort of curated for you.
Kind of feels like rich snippets on steroids a little bit.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay, interesting. That's going to present some cool opportunities and I think some legal challenges as well.
Yeah.
So how do you see this impacting SEO on that? How are we optimizing for this?
So SEO and AI are almost completely intertwined right now, because the AI models that are running both off of both search engines and many other items are basing their responses off of the content that's online. So you're doing your work, you're making sure that you're optimizing your websites as best as possible, and the most helpful, most authoritative, well-written content is going to be what is output from AI. So from the beginning, you're giving and you're taking, just like when you're going through the AI model for copywriting, is you're putting input in and then taking the output and using that. It's just going to be one-on-one, a symbiotic relationship, and it's not going away. It's not going away, and it's going to be forever just. If we fast forward it 6 months from now, these models will be different. These models are growing and adapting, and the work that's being put in to making ChatGPT 3 or 3.5, 4, or 27, there's going to be many versions that are just emphasizing certain elements and fixing things that didn't really work, and it's going to be better in 6 months. It's going to be different in 6 months. So it's not a set and forget type of thing. You have to be adapting. You have to be watching. Michael and I are always looking for more information on this process to make sure that what we did yesterday and what we're doing today is going to work in the future, or it needs to be adjusted for the future.
Yeah, I heard GPT-27 is where it really starts. I think it could. But I think that the one thing about working in digital marketing and SEO in general is that the rate of change is rapid, and it seems like it's only going to get into hyperspeed with AI on this. It's not slowing down. The fast-moving department is already moving faster.
We're used to, in search engine optimization as a whole, we're used to content algorithm updates, and then Google algorithm updates, and then adjustments to this, adjustments to that. So we're used to this. It's another tool that, we need to be watching out for, always vigilant of. It's just something, like I said, my main emphasis is don't set it and forget it. You have to be watching. What works today may not work tomorrow. And Google's going to be adapting, and Bing is going to be adapting, and they're going to make sure that, what may work now and what might be an easy short fix will not eventually, be good for you maybe in 6 months. So watch.
I think what I love about this conversation is I think AI is viewed as maybe that substitute, not the supplemental tool that's being happened here, but this conversation that we're having right now has been happening all the time since I've been in the industry. I remember coming in and it was mobile design was going to change everything. It does, but then you just adapt and you move on to the next thing, and it continues to evolve, and the thing that's going to break everything or ruin everything doesn't. And then it just, or it does, and you fix it.
You see these situations happening in cycles. So every 6 months, every 8 months, every year, they say, oh, this is going to be the SEO killer. It's not going away.
Yeah.
When AI first started coming up, everybody's like, oh, well, SEO is going to be gone because of AI. What do you think runs the optimization output for AI? We're not going to. Yeah. It's not going.
All of this is still designed for human consumption, and humans are going to be there to guide it. It's just a tool like anything else, and the expertise is, if you view this as a substitution or a replacement, you're going to get lapped.
Yep.
But that's been the case for so many different past examples that you just have to treat this like a tool and be the expert at how to use the tool, and those are the people that are going to thrive in this industry.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Any commercial involving drinking ends with drink responsibly. Any commercial involving gambling ends with the Gamblers Anonymous call. Ending our AI conversation, how to AI responsibly. So this is not an AI switch. We've hit that a few different times. I think that it is a great tool, but it is not a set it and forget it tool like anything else is. I can just, from my experience utilizing it for data analysis, that part's ramping up, utilizing that in communication, it is a great baseline. It is a great tool, but to blindly accept the machine, it's that scene in The Office where Michael Scott trusts the GPS and then just drives into the lake
Yep.
because he blindly trusts the machine. We are not at that point.
No.
We are not subservient to machines. This is a tool, damn it. So we are now at the point where it's how do we utilize this tool responsibly like anything else?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I think definitely in that similar vein, like, yeah, you need to have like a skilled person that knows at least a lot about how the AI is being used, especially like in marketing and agency life. If you are, we'll just use content again as an example. If you're churning out tens, hundreds of articles a month, you still should have somebody that knows what is a good article when they see it, or knows how to edit an article if they need to here and there to make it successful. Or, worst comes to worst, your DEF CON 5 situation, Chat GPT or Google Bard or Jasper just did not hit the nail on the head for that. Somebody that could capably even write the article if you absolutely need to, because you got to get it done.
So that you're not submitting false court precedent.
Exactly, yeah. So you want to definitely never just let it go. You need to have some sort of review. You also probably should have, at least, internally, a set of standards for what is a good output for this use case of AI. So we'll just use content again as an example. You might have a checklist. All right, it's X amount of words long. It's optimized for these keywords, and it's not plagiarized. I think that's probably the biggest point you should look at, is that it's not accidentally plagiarized from other sources online. And when you have that, we have that quality checklist, you can say, all right, we know this meets our more objective standards, and we're okay with putting this out into the world. And then on top of that, you need the actual process to quality check it. So once a piece of content is done, how do you quality check that? What are the steps that you take, and how do those steps lead you to making sure that it hits those points on your good AI output checklist?
I love the reference you made with AI being your intern. What you're describing is the process and policies you would have in place if you had an intern.
Yeah.
You're not blindly accepting anything that an intern's writing and using that to churn out. If you're giving an intern work, you have to articulate the output you want, because they're not as experienced as you are.
Yeah.
When the intern gives you work, you need to have that quality assurance within there. So it's your intern, it's your assistant, it's a tool that you're utilizing, but it is about the responsible use case of this. And if quality matters, if the expectations matter, if you're, God forbid, in legal or medical, like, the output needs to just be so scrutinized to get to that end result. It's that begin with the end in mind that runs through everything that we do here. But that's the same thing in utilizing the tool. What is the end output you want, and how are you going to use this tool to get there, not letting the tool guide where you go?
Yeah. Fact checking everything that comes out of the tool, making sure that you have the right information going into the tool beforehand, is two things that you need in order to get some sort of quality and make sure that you're not sitting there and just putting on whatever comes out, because that's destined for problems. And especially when you're working in the agency, there's multiple responsibilities there. You need to make sure that you're watching out for, your clients and your clients' clients and what have you. It can't be wrong. It can be inaccurate. And then it snowballs, because this is one small piece of the SEO puzzle. You can use this, and you should use this, and you should utilize this responsibly. But there's also the 400 to 200 other factors in SEO that make this work. So if you have a site that's just technically broken and needs all these other pieces, don't expect this to be the 1-2 punch. It's going to absolutely help the situation, but it's not going to take away. And that's why we've always said it's a supplement. It's not a substitution.
It's a tool to help you gain efficiency. It's a tool to help you be more effective, but it's not a replacement. If you allow your responsibilities to be replaced by AI, you are making yourself replaceable, because your output is not going to be as strong as it should.
100%, yeah.
So in this conversation, we've covered how AI is impacting agency life, how it's going to help write content specifically, how it's going to help with SEO, and how the SEO landscape is evolving because the SE landscape is evolving with AI, and how to use this tool responsibly. I'd love to close this conversation with just your biggest takeaway for the AI. If you're got an agency owner and agency personnel on the other side, what's the one thing you want them to say?
Yeah. So no matter what application that you would use AI for, never ever use it at a client-facing level without having some sort of standard for what is a good output or not. You need to have that standard. You need to have that QA. Otherwise, you're going to potentially set yourself up for some troublesome situations.
My final take would be, this is the hot new thing right now in search engine optimization. In a lot of the conversation is about this, but it's not the only conversation. There are many different factors. This is one that absolutely should be used and will make things more efficient in a way that you could focus on the other technical optimizations, other authority building organizational items that you can do on websites. This is not the be-all, end-all.
Absolutely. It's the hot new toy from a man who loves his toys. Thank you so much for watching this. We are finding ways to best utilize AI here to be supplemental, not substitutional, to help make us more efficient, to help make us more effective. You guys are probably the experts in the house, and I think that showed today in the conversation. So thank you for your time, Michael. Thank you for your time, Jay. I hope that you found some value in this. We appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Conduit Digital, helping successful agencies scale.